Hello, and welcome to Freya's tropical garden. We've had some frosty weather a few weeks ago, but now things are starting to warm up again. Here's what we've got coming up for you on today's episode. We take a look at part 2 on my video on Trebah, and we take a look at the ancient Cycads. But first, let's take a look at how my garden's been doing over the last few weeks. 3 weeks ago, when I filmed episode 1, I did point out that there was some more cold weather on the way. Although I was hoping there was a chance it might avoid us, unfortunately it did hit, and it has had an impact on my garden. The arum lily that I pointed out in my last video was about to flower has now been cut back. Even though it's perfectly normal for the arum lily to be cut back through winter, it is still a disappointment when it's been going so long. But even now there's still a leaf trying to grow from one of my arum lilies, so it'll be interesting to see how long this new milder spell lasts for. The foliage on my Melianthus major has also died back a bit. However, there are still some green leaves at the top of the plant, so I'm hopeful that the wood underneath will still be able to bear flowers in spring. And elsewhere in the garden, the other Melianthus major is looking the same as well. My new Echium looks like it's been killed off though by this cold weather. This is a shame, this is a new one for me, and it would have been lovely to see how it would get on. But I'll still keep an eye on it, just in case there's something that can grow from lower down. The Echium pinnanana, however, still looks pretty much untouched, even though both of them were covered with fleece. And my career that's been flowering really well up till now has been affected by the frost. And a lot of the flowers that were looking really nice have lost their colour and they're dying off. But elsewhere on the plant there are still new flower buds coming through that look bright and vibrant. So hopefully the plant will recover quickly. It's just a few of these leaves that have turned a bit black. And my abutilon has also now been affected by the frost. Fortunately, I've got a few cuttings of this, and one of them's even flowering at the moment indoors. I think this plant is absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait to get it planted properly ready for summer. The fronds on my tree fern are pretty much all turned brown now. However, that will come up with new fronds in spring. And my other tree fern actually has been completely unaffected so far and still looks green, which just goes to show how differently plants can be affected even in the same garden. Last year I lost my pink cordyline for the first time in 8 years. However, this year my replacement already seems to have died. There is, however, still a little bit of the pink colour at the base, so I am hoping it's possible something might regrow. And my callistemon that also died last year isn't looking very good at the moment, so I'm a bit worried about this. Last year my Trachycarpus latisectus seedling was unaffected by the frost. However, both of them look like they're dying back at the moment. There's still a bit of green, so I hope it can shoot out a new leaf. And my Diuna Dule seedlings that again were completely unaffected last year have had a few leaves die back as well. But for now at least it still looks good. Once again my Washingtonia robusta has turned brown. Last year was the first year that this had been affected by cold weather, but now it's gone brown again, although it is greener at the base than it was last year. So at the moment, hopefully it will recover a bit quicker than it did last year. And elsewhere in the garden I've got Washingtonia robusta that doesn't even look like it's been affected at all. So again, it really does show what a difference a plant in the right place can make. However, this year's frost hasn't been like last year's frost, and in some cases things are actually going better, like this Phoenix canariensis that looks completely unaffected where I lost mine last year. Even though this is much smaller, it's absolutely fine. And with my Brahia amata, although it's its first year in the ground, so I don't know how it's going to do, so far it's looking absolutely fine, no signs of any damage on it at all. Last year my Musa sycamensis had collapsed by now, however at the moment this one's still looking absolutely fine even though I haven't given it any protection. And I still have Musa basjus trying to push out new leaves, which really goes to show just how much milder this winter has been on the whole. And I suspect the issue is that the temperature just dropped lower than usual. My Yucca elephanteeps that was killed back to ground level last winter and showing a little bit of damage but not too much. And the cordyline red star that was badly affected last winter still looks absolutely fine with no protection on at all. Although I had fleeced it, it blew away in the wind. And for the first year since I've planted it, my lemon and lime bamboo looks like it's put on a nice little bit of extra growth. You can see these new darker leaves at the top of the plant. My white camellia is looking almost ready to flower now. However, some of these flower buds have had a little bit of damage from the frost. You can see that they've started to turn a little bit brown before they've even fully opened yet. And last year, the frost killed back the buds on this acacia, which stopped it from flowering properly. However, it's covered in buds at the moment, and some of them are even starting to open. You can see these are beautiful, fluffy yellow flowers, and I can't wait for the tree to be covered in them. The first of my spring bulbs has now opened, and this lovely purple iris is giving a lot of colour. Although the pot has been neglected all year, and you can see there are a few weeds in there which I need to get round to having a go at. I love this combination with the deep purple and the pale blue. My Clematis Winter's Beauty is continuing to flower, and I think I'm going to move this next year to grow up something in the tropical garden to give a bit more colour. I'm growing a few seeds at the moment, and so far this impatiens has germinated quite recently. And I have some jacaranda seeds which will look absolutely beautiful when this grows into a larger tree, as it will be covered in masses of purple flowers. I've never had much luck growing Begonia luxurians, however I've decided to give this a go. And you can see I have a few that have germinated, but they are growing slowly. And I managed to germinate a couple of Mimosa pudicas. This is the mimosa that I showed you last year that is touch sensitive and closes its leaves. And I also have Acacia baeliana. This is very similar to the acacia I showed you earlier in this video, which will be covered in yellow puffball flowers in spring. Inside the greenhouse you can see my Fascicularia bicolour still doing really well and still got a little bit of red in the centre of it. However, in the frost-free grow tent the temperatures managed to drop to 2.6 degrees, and this has affected some of the plants. My colocasias have died back, and my Ansete is also starting to look a little bit worse for wear, although I'm sure it will recover from that. My Brugmansia is also not looking at its best, but it's still okay. Now, in the last episode, I took you through part 1 of my visit to Trebah in Cornwall. And coming up next, I've got part 2. Trebah is a 26-acre subtropical garden located near Falmouth on the south coast of Cornwall. 4 miles of footpaths wind through the beautiful exotic planting, down to a private beach where you can stop for an ice cream and enjoy the stunning views. Trebah is a valley garden which creates a microclimate several degrees warmer than the surrounding gardens. This allows the planting of many plant species that might otherwise not thrive outdoors all year round in the UK. The valley paths are quite steep in places and therefore not recommended for manual wheelchairs. However, the garden is otherwise very accessible with good paths. Trebah is open all year round from 9:30 a.m. till 4:30 p.m, with a kitchen, gift shop and plant centre available. In part 1 I introduced you to some of the plants that are growing here, and now I'll talk you through some more. Trachycarpus fortunei is also known as the Chinese windmill palm, and here at Trebah they have a champion Trachycarpus which has grown up to 14.75 metres tall. It's considered one of the hardiest palms in the UK. Banksia marginata is also known as the silver banksia. It's a tree or woody shrub from Australia with evergreen leaves which are narrow, leathery, dark green. In summer, it produces upright cylindrical, pale yellow bottle brush flowers, followed by cone-like fruit. It prefers full sun, but is not hardy. Agave americana, also known as the century plant, is an evergreen perennial forming rosettes of spiny-edged grey-green leaves. It prefers full sun and is hardy down to -7 degrees C if kept dry. Araucaria araucana is also known as the monkey puzzle tree. This distinctive and spiky tree has been around since the time of the dinosaurs. It can grow up to 30 metres tall with a stout cylindrical trunk with smooth bark. It prefers full sun and is hardy in the UK. Mahonia soft caress is an upright, evergreen, compact shrub growing 1.2 metres tall, characterised by narrow, spine-free leaflets. In late summer, it produces honey-scented flowers. It prefers full sun or partial shade and is hardy in the UK. Cyathea medullaris is an evergreen upright tree fern growing 7 to 16 metres tall. Its slender black trunk bears fronds 5 metres long. It prefers partial shade and is not reliably hardy in the UK. And although the valley in Trebah does afford it some protection, the garden team do fleece it over winter as well. Dicksonia antarctica is also known as the man fern. This dates back to Jurassic and Cretaceous periods, and here in Trebah they have a champion tree fern with a girth of up to 2 metres. Dicksonia antarctica is slow growing, taking 20 years to reach 4 metres in height. It prefers partial shade or full shade and can survive temperatures down to -5 degrees C or lower with protection. Echium pininana comes from the Canary Islands. It grows up to 1.8 metres tall and prefers full sun and well-drained sandy soil. It's a stunning biennial plant which dies after flowering and can self-seed readily in milder areas. It's great for bees and butterflies. Ionium arboreum is also known as the tree Ionium. It's a shrub-like plant that grows 3 to 5 foot tall in the warmer climates. It prefers full sun and well-drained soil and needs to be kept above 5 degrees C. It also needs more regular watering than other succulents due to a small shallow root system. Phoenix canariensis is also known as the Canary Island date palm. It can grow up to 15 metres or more with a stout pineapple-like trunk and spreading deep green leaves up to 5 metres long. It prefers partial shade and tolerates low temperatures, can survive down to -5 degrees. However, it will need extra protection against harsh frosts. You can also grow it in pots, so if you do live somewhere cooler, you can move it in winter. Fascicularia bicolor is a striking bromeliad which produces shaggy mounds of rosettes made up of tapering, slender-toothed leaves. At the centre, leaves take on a strong red colour in summer. It prefers full sun and is hardy in milder parts of the UK. Strelitzia reginae is also known as the bird of paradise. It's an evergreen perennial which grows 1.5 metres tall and forms a clump of long-stalked grey-green leaves and orange and blue flowers which give the plant its nickname. It prefers full sun or part shade and is not hardy in the UK. Puya chilensis is a bromeliad native to Chile. It can grow up to 10 foot tall and it has spikes along the length of its leaves. In fact, llamas and fleecy animals get caught in its sharp spines and starve to death. And then as they decay, it fertilises the plant. It prefers full sun and well-drained soil and can survive down to -7 degrees C if protected from hard frosts. Puya compacta is similar to Puya chilensis in terms of its requirements. However, it's endemic to Ecuador and is actually critically endangered. The gardening team here in Trebah support with the conservation effort by sending seeds to Kew. Agave salmiana is a rosette-forming evergreen perennial succulent which can grow up to 4 metres tall. Its leaves are dark grey-green and edged with hooked spines. It prefers full sun and can tolerate low temperatures down to -8 if in free-draining soil. Agave americana marginata is also known as variegata. It forms slowly clumping rosettes with cream to yellow stripes along the margins. This will also survive temperatures down to -7 degrees if kept dry. Aloe polyphila is also known as the spiral aloe due to the spiraling rosettes of leaves. It comes from the South African mountains where it can be cold and snowy and can survive temperatures down to -15 degrees C once mature. Aloeampelus striaculata was formerly referred to as Aloe striaculata. It's a succulent native to South Africa, although it's hardy in most of the UK. It requires full sun and free-draining soil. The Korea Marian's marvel is also known as the Australian fuchsia. It's a half-hardy evergreen shrub that can grow up to 1.5 metres tall, with rounded oval leaves, finely hairy underneath. It flowers from autumn to spring and grows best in full sun. A Boutilon picta is an evergreen shrub from South America. It can grow up to 5 metres tall and produces masses of these beautiful orange flowers. It prefers full sun or partial shade and slightly acidic to neutral soil. It will, however, only survive down to about -1 degrees and is considered an old-fashioned houseplant. Strobilanthes attenuata is a medium-sized, mound-forming, semi-evergreen perennial. It forms tubular flowers from summer through to autumn and prefers full sun or part shade. It's hardy but will prefer a mulch over winter. Salvia amistad is ideal for coastal and dry gardens. It produces large, spiky flowers from summer through to autumn, which are very attractive to wildlife. It prefers full sun or dappled shade. Grevillea victoriae is also known as the royal grevillea. It's a round-headed evergreen shrub with upright branchlets and lance-shaped greyish-green leaves. In late autumn to spring, it produces honeysuckle-like flowers. It prefers full sun and is hardy down to -5 degrees C. Camerops humilis is also known as the European fan palm. It's a spectacularly versatile hardy palm and one of the few truly European palms originating from Crete. Its tough, robust leaves are more wind-resistant than that of the Trachycarpus fortunei, and it grows well in poor soil. Melianthus major is also known as the great honeyflower. It remains evergreen in milder areas and can grow as much as 2.5 metres tall. It prefers full sun and is hardy in milder areas of the UK. Coming up next, I've got a video for you on cycads. The name cycad comes from the Greek word psychos, meaning palm-like, but although they look similar in appearance to palm trees, cycads are actually gymnosperms, producing cones rather than flowers. They're actually more closely related to pines and even the ginkgo tree. They also can be confused with ferns because their pinnate leaves can look fern-like. However, ferns produce spores rather than cones. Cycads have been around for 280 million years before the dinosaurs even walked the earth. They declined in the Cretaceous period as flowering angiosperms evolved. Today, most cycads are endangered, and some are facing extinction in the wild. Cycads are dioecious. Male plants can be identified by pollen-bearing cones, while female cones produce seeds. Some cones can grow up to 70 centimetres long, weighing 30 kilograms. They have specialised pollinators, often a specific beetle. And mature seeds tend to be colourful, bright red, purple or yellow, to attract animals to disperse the seeds. The order Cycadales has 3 families: Cycadaceae, Zamiaceae and Stangeriaceae, with 10 genera: Moenia, Stangeria, Zamia, Lepidozamia, Encephalatos, Diune, Macrozamia, Microcycas, Ceratozamia and Cycas. There are around 115 different species of cycas, making it one of the most diversified genera of cycad. It's largely native to the Indo-Pacific, East Africa and Madagascar. However, due to the large numbers of cycads occurring in China, Australia and India, these countries are considered to be centres of cycad diversity. Fossil evidence suggests they originated in Asia, and cycads is thought to have split from all other living cycads around the Jurassic era, although this has not yet been dated with confidence. They are very slow to reproduce, with pollination occurring in the first year, fertilisation in the second, and seed shedding in the third. Cycas is unique in not forming seed cones on female plants, but rather a group of leaf-like structures with seeds on the lower margins. Leaflets have much more prominent midrib and lack any obvious secondary veins, and new emerging leaves are not coiled. However, the leaflets are individually coiled, with tender new leaves becoming stiffer after a few weeks. There are 11 different species of dioon, which is native to Mexico and Central America. They typically live in tropical forests or dry hillsides and are one of the hardiest group of cycads, with those naturally growing at higher altitudes tolerating frost and snow. Due to the leaf-like character of the sporophylls, it's been suggested that dioon is among the most primitive of the cycad genera. They are commonly divided into two groups, with dioon spinulosum, dioon magi, and dioon radowskii, characterized by large fronds, well-developed trunks, and massive cones. The second group, containing all other dioon species, are less robust, with shorter fronds and trunks and smaller cones. Dioons typically only grow 3 to 6 metres tall and are slower growing than other cycads, with a few exceptions. There are around 60 different species of Encephalatus, all native to Africa. The word encephalatus means bread of the head, referring to the bread-like food that is made from the pulp of the caudex. They are also known as bread palms. However, like most cycads, Encephalatus are considered endangered, and with added pressures of its popularity as a collectible plant, has led them to be very expensive to buy. There is high variety amongst Encephalatus species. Some are large, some small, some blue-leaved and some green. Some have thorny wide leaves and others narrow needle-like leaflets. Some are cold-hardy and others tender. Some prefer full sun and others shade. However, most Encephalatus do prefer arid, hot climates. Although most species are not hardy in the UK, Encephalatus will tolerate living in pots for many decades with few ill effects. There are around 60 species of Zamia, native to North, South and Central America, as well as the West Indies. Zamia show a wide diversity in appearance, from small simple leaves to large plicated leaflets with a texture like Pringles. Many are small plants, however some tower overhead. Some species have colourful emerging leaves in brown, bronze, pink and even red, although these will typically turn green in a couple of months. Leaflet edges are often serrated and some have sharp spines. Zamia are great air purifiers and are known to remove pollutants and some harmful gases. They are low maintenance and require little watering or light, making them great houseplants. Macrozamia is a genus of around 40 species of cycads, which are all endemic to Australia. Macrozamia are pollinated only by thrips or weevils, and attracts these pollinators by producing a specific compound which cannot be found anywhere else in the natural world. Macrozamia are also unusual in being able to produce their own heat, known as thermogenesis, which is also likely to be for the purpose of attracting pollinators. Cones have been recorded to be up to 15 degrees C above the ambient temperature. Lepidozamia is a genus of 2 species of cycad, both endemic to Australia. Lepidozamia perovskiana and Lepidozamia hopii. They're native to the rainforest climates, so require more watering in summer than many other cycad varieties, and they prefer to grow in shade. The female cones of Lepidozamia perovskiana are amongst the largest of all cycads, reaching up to 90 centimetres in length, whereas Lepidozamia hopii is the tallest living cycad, growing up to 17 metres in height. Although they prefer a warmer climate, they can take an occasional light frost. The genus Microcycas consists of a single species, Microcycas calocoma, which is endemic to a small area in Cuba. It's estimated that there are only 50 to 250 mature plants left in the wild. The disappearance of the specific beetle which pollinates it has contributed to the decline of this plant. The name Microcycas is deceptive as it can grow up to 11 meters tall, making it one of the tallest cycads. The leaves are dark green and can grow up to 1.2 meters long. There are two species of Bowania, Bowania cerulata and Bowania spectabilis. Both are endemic to Australia, growing in moist or wet environments. Bowania are much faster growing than other cycads, becoming fertile plants after just 5 years from germination. They grow well in containers and tolerate low light levels, although newer leaves may need a little more light when they get stronger. Bowania can even produce cones when in containers. There is only one species of Stangeria, the Stangeria areopus, and it is endemic to southern Africa. They are pinnately veined, which distinguishes them from all other cycads. It's tolerant of a range of habitats and can grow in full sun or shade, in clay soil or very stony ground, but it's not very salt tolerant. They are also not frost tolerant, with leaves burning easily in cold weather, although underground stems may survive. Ceratozamia is a genus of up to 38 species of cycad native to Mexico and Central America, where most species are found at higher altitudes, such as Mexican cloud forests. They are characterized by cones with scales that have pairs of spine-like horns, which give them their name from the Greek ceras, meaning horn. They require high humidity to ensure proper development of immature embryos. Well, that's all we've got time for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching, and I'll see you next time on Freya's Tropical Garden. If you're enjoying the content of Freya's Tropical Garden, then please help this channel grow by subscribing. Every new subscriber is appreciated, and by turning on notifications to my videos, you can also make sure that you don't miss any episodes in future. You can also follow me on social media, where I'll release links to my latest videos, as well as share my flower of the day. You can follow me on X, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, or join my Facebook group to engage in discussions and share your own photos. Freya's Tropical Garden webpage also has links to my videos and helpful advice. And now, in order to support the continued growth of this channel, there is an option of becoming a member, which will give you access to a private Facebook group where I'll be running monthly competitions exclusively for members, as well as additional exclusive content. And as always, I welcome your feedback in the comments below.